Hi there, Baz from GotAUkulele with another instrument review for you. I get occasional criticisms on GotAUkulele on a couple of grounds. One, that I don't do enough reviews of very cheap instruments. I've done a couple, but yeah, I tend to review instruments that I like or people really want to make a noise about and send to me. And also that I'm a bit down on the Mahalo brand of ukulele. That's because I've played many and they've all been dreadful. So I thought I'd try and change that. So I went against my own advice and I bought Unseen from Amazon, where else, for £30. The Mahalo Flying V ukulele. I'm not entirely sure what scale it is. I think it's concert tenor. It's its own thing. That's pretty cool looking, isn't it? Hey, look, it stands up on its own, no hands. Yeah, you can't really fault the look. If you like the rock guitar look, this is the ultimate rock guitar, in my opinion. And they've done it pretty nicely, really. But let's get into the details, shall we? This is a laminate body construction. So that's plywood to you and me. It's not good quality laminate at £30. But there's laminate uke bodies and there are laminate uke bodies. And this one, if I can try and get it onto the camera, is so thick. I mean, we're talking 2 or 3 mil. It should be probably half or a third of that, really, to get a tone. And the problem with that is that this top of the instrument needs to vibrate when you pluck the strings. That's what makes the tone and projects the sound. If you make the top of an instrument, or indeed back and sides to some extent, out of super thick material, it's not going to happen. You're going to get a bit of resonant noise coming out of it, but you're not going to get any tone because there's nothing to vibrate. To add insult to injury, the whole thing, and I mean the whole thing, is covered in thick gloss paint, which is kind of pooling all over the place. It's not badly finished, it's kind of glossy, excuse my fingerprints, but there are quite a few finished flaws in it. I suppose that's to be expected at £30. You see them there at the end of the fingerboard. More about that in a moment. When you look inside the instrument, I'm definitely not going to be able to show you this. It's pretty messy in there. There is glue seepage all over the place. Overspray paint that you can actually see there, I think. It looks hurried and pretty nasty. There are wood shavings further down in the body as well. Why does that matter, you may ask? That doesn't make a noise, that's all hidden away. Well, it kind of shows you the attention to detail and care that's gone into the instrument, which isn't particularly good. And that really comes to light here. Okay, we have a Rosewood notched bridge, nice for a beginner. You don't need to worry about tie bar knots. Just tie a knot in the end of the string and hook it in, done. Compensated plastic saddle. I really think at £30 on an instrument with this sort of laminate that compensating the bridge is completely overkill. But my problem with it is it's not placed correctly. It's on a slight angle, it's like slightly off to one side, and I think the scale length is slightly wrong as well. So in the factory, someone's just gone whack, glued it on, that will do. That is not how a ukulele works. It has to be put in the right place to make the scale length in relation to the frets allow the thing to play in tune. It's a minor mistake, but it's a huge one to fix. I can take a saddle down with a piece of sandpaper. Anyone can. We can take a nut down with some nut files pretty easily. Moving a bridge that's been misplaced requires taking the bridge off and resetting it. Are you really going to do that on a 30 quid uke or pay someone to it and then refinish it, etc., etc.? It's kind of unforgivable, really, and it gets worse. I showed you before how the fingerboard on the instrument joins the body flush, which is kind of like an old-style uke design. If I show you this Mahalo dolphin, we have a little ledge, you see? And what that means is because they've done that and then the way they've set the body, which kind of goes back on a bit of an angle, we have this really crazy angle from the strings running down to the neck. We're like this, when they should be like this, as close as possible. So this is going to affect scale length, intonation as well, and is really kind of worrying to look at. Again, if I compare it to the angle on the dolphin, far flatter. You never get it completely flat, but far flatter. So, that's That's pretty hopeless and a bit of a worry. The neck, not really chunky heel here, a little bit uncomfortable. Nice C-shaped profile, fairly standard neck. The edge is stained and unbound. You can see the edges of the frets. We have these odd perloid markers in different shapes. Not different shapes, different sizes. Why they're different sizes, I don't know. But it's good to see we have them on the side as well, although why they didn't put them down here, I don't know. I don't really need a marker to tell me where the third is. I kind of want one starting here and then down. Frets are nickel finish, although plated badly. The ones down here are starting to turn yellow. And this is a brand new instrument. So God knows how long it's been sitting in a factory. And one of them is actually going a little bit rusty as well. We have a plastic nut, which is far too high. And that manifests itself in some of the notes going sharp because we pull the string down too far. So if I pluck the A, and you hear the pitch very slightly rise at the end. It's not the worst I've seen, but it needs taking down. That can be adjusted though. Headstock is straight from the Gibson Flying V shape, but look at that logo. It looks like it was done with Letraset or printed off in Word and glued on. I don't really understand why they didn't use the Mahalo logo that they use on their website. But there we are. Tuners are geared, shaped like dolphins. I don't know whether that is a dig to Makala, but there we are. But the buttons are horrible. They are huge plastic things, far too big for the instrument. These have been culled from a cheap guitar, I suspect. They look ridiculous. It makes the uke look like it's got ears. These are also tarnished as well, which is strange considering it's straight from the factory. So there we are. It's got its issues. I can forgive action at the nut and the saddle. I can forgive finished floors for 30 quid. I can almost forgive super thick laminate and untidy insides. You know, it's a cheap instrument. But things like a problem with the bridge and the action and the way the thing is actually physically built is kind of unforgivable, because that's going to be something that any beginner buying this is going to fight against, or pay more money than the ukulele is worth to try to get it fixed. And how does that thick body and setup result in the sound? Well, you know, it's really not very good. Kind of one-dimensional. No real harmonies or notes to sing. So it's kind of, you know, kind of sounds like rubber bands on a margarine tub. And you may say, well, it's 30 quid, what do you expect? It sounds all right to me. Trusting Makala Dolphin. Both of these instruments have got Aquila strings on them. I don't know whether this is in tune, but listen to the harmonics difference. This has got a much warmer range to it, whereas this sounds plinky plinky. You know, people will say, well, what are you worried about? It's a novelty instrument. Look at the shape of it. My problem with that, Mahalo, is that, you know, the ukulele has enough trouble trying to shake off this notion that it's a novelty instrument as it is, without you adding insult to injury. And it's not about making the shape of it like this. Make the shape of it like this, but when you build it properly. And I'm afraid, you know, Mahalo are one of the biggest sellers of beginner ukuleles, and I recommend people avoid them. I'm just one voice. I'm clearly not having any impact because people are still buying them. I've played loads of beginner level Mahalos, and they've all got issues with them. I've seen misplaced bridges. I've seen frets set on an angle. I had a soprano with a fret set on a slight angle. You know, that's never going to be capable of being fixed. And that's kind of unforgivable when you're making a musical instrument for a beginner. They may never have played music before. They like the idea of getting a ukulele. They buy one, and it's an instrument that, because it's been badly put together in the factory, they are never going to get a good sound out of it. It's never going to be tunable. That's not a musical instrument. That really is a toy. So it kind of bugs me that Mahalo sells so many of them, really. They're ripping you off. Is there anything that redeems itself about this? Well, You can hang it on a wall, I suppose. Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters has been photographed playing one, so you've got a cool reference point there. I'll show you this. Bearing in mind this is only 30 quid. Have a look at the gig bag it comes with. Leatherette, all in white with a handle. It's kind of pretty tough and padded, but oh boy. Plush blue lining. This is really cool. I really like the gig bag. Shame about the uke. And actually, if you take into account the notional cost of them providing this, compared to the very thin cotton gig bags you get with something like a Mahalo Dolphin, this is the sort of thing they could sell for 10 quid, as it is. So does that make this a £20 ukulele? Well, I think there's all sorts of corners cut. You get what you pay for. For me, if you want a beginner uke, get something like a Dolphin or a Pukanala, or a Mahalo generally. But I'm sorry, I just keep coming across badly made Mahalo instruments, and I'm not going to keep quiet about that. I'm sure they may well want to respond to this and say, well, yeah, but you've not played every Mahalo instrument. It doesn't matter. I've seen too many that are badly made. So take my advice, I'd avoid.